artist. Today we are going to be making a Cookie Monster weaving. So all I'm using again is thin cardboard. So I love to use recycled cereal box cardboard and cut that up into little squares. So to make my Cookie Monster, I just drew it out with the Sharpie and then colored it with crayons and cut it out. Now you can see I'm starting to make my cookie. I did this the same way as I did my Cookie Monster. So I drew my cookie and I'm drawing the details on my cookie, and then I'm going to end up coloring it and cutting it out. When drawing my cookie, I wanted to make sure it looked like it had a bite out of it, because when we're creating a weaving, the best loom to use is a half circle or a rectangle. So I don't want to use a full circle. So if you're doing something other than a cookie, you definitely want to have the shape of a half circle. The next part is you're going to start to create little slits by cutting out tiny triangles evenly spaced alongside of the round part of your cookie. And this is going to help us wrap your loom, which is called the warp. So we're going to be using some yarn to create the warp. I like to create an even number of the little slits that I'm creating. I usually do about 8 to 10 for this size of loom, but you're always able to do more or less. I decided to color my chocolate chips in with some black to add some value to my cookie by coloring it a little bit around just parts of the edges. The reason I decided to do this is because I had black yarn that I was going to use for my warp on my loom, and I wanted the black to be connected a little bit more to our cookie. I'm gonna start wrapping the warp. I like to start at the bottom left, and so I'm putting my yarn through that first slit that I created, and I'm trying to tie a knot so that it is in that middle curved area, but you can see it's moving on me, so I end up having to cut it a little bit bigger and even using some tape to hold it into place so that my yarn won't move and pop out, because I want it to be really strong and sturdy. So you can see I'm tying a double knot, making sure it doesn't go anywhere, and securing it with tape. Once my knot and yarn are secure and they're not going anywhere, I'm then going to start to wrap my warp. This part is a lot easier, I think, when you stick your yarn through the different slits and make sure you go right back to that middle section. It kind of looks like a fan, always returning to that other section. Then I'm gonna tie a knot on the back and secure that as well with some tape, so that it's a really tight warp and it's not going to go anywhere or slide off. Once I've completed my warp, I'm going to start doing my weaving, or what weavers call it, the weft part. That is when you go up and down and weave through the warp that you just created. I'm going to pull my yarn through where I want it to be, and then I'm going to cut it and tie my weft so that it does not slide out. So I'm going to tie it to that first warp yarn piece right there and double knot it again so that it doesn't loosen and come unraveled. I'm going to walk you through weaving a little bit more. So because I was over on that last ring, I need to start by going under. Otherwise, you'll undo what you just did. So weaving is always under, over. I think about it like swimming a little bit. So you dive under the water or under the yarn, and then you have to come up for air on the next piece. And so you go over it, and then you go under it, and then you go over it. And you just continue that back and forth and back and forth. It should look like a checkered pattern. Right now, I actually made a mistake so that you can see what didn't look like a checkered pattern. I was repeating the same pattern as the yarn before me, so I had to undo it, which all you do is pull it out and then try again. Now you can kind of see my checkered pattern of it being every other under and over and under and over. A common mistake I see with young weavers is that they don't pull their yarn all the way through. You have to every time pull it all the way through until you can't pull it anymore. So make sure you don't get it stuck on the side of your cookie and you forget to pull it all the way through, because then you'll get some weird knots and some hard things to solve. I just noticed I was missing my checkered pattern again, so I'm trying to count and see what I did wrong. So I just decided to pull out that row again and try again and try and solve where I made a mistake. And I found that I went over top of 2 of them instead of going under over. I went over 2 of my weaving lines, so then I had to just back it up and try again. Right now I'm showing you a different technique about pulling it through every single time I go underneath one. That works too. Otherwise, you can just pull your string along and then pull it through at the end. So I've kind of showed you different ways of how to do your weaving, whatever works best for you and what makes the most sense to you. running out of string. I decided to use the same color string and tie a knot on it, but you could always use this opportunity to switch your colors. So if you wanted different colors on your cookie, or if you're making some other weaving that's not a cookie, you can use whatever colors you want. After I tied my knot, I cut the tails really short, and I'm gonna tuck my knot in as I'm weaving so that you don't see it. To close off your weft on your weaving, the last thing you do is tie a knot again, and then you're gonna cut that tail short. Make sure it's a double or a triple knot, and it's really tight and secure before you cut off that last piece. And there you have it. There is your monster cookie weaving. After I finished my weaving, all I did was take some tape and tape it to my monster's mouth to finish my masterpiece. I can't wait to see your weaving. Hope you have fun.